All right, guys, what you just saw is not financial irresponsibility. This is what happens when a man stops confusing suffering with discipline. So let me attack the first rule that you might have in your head. Traditional debt advice probably trained you to think that the only way out is eating rice and beans every day, living in a cheap apartment, having no fun, no travel, no dating, no sunlight, no life. And then you go through 5 years of punishment before your debt is finally gone. Now, I want to give Dave Ramsey some credit for this because he's pretty famous for this philosophy. Discipline matters. Budgeting matters. Debt payoff matters. Living below your means matters. But those principles become much stronger when a man is not trying to implement them inside of one of the most expensive systems on earth. And a man can be disciplined but still feel stuck if the battlefield is wrong. He can cut all his subscriptions, he can cook at home, he can avoid restaurants, drive an older car, but still his rent, insurance, grocery costs, gas, interest payments, all this stuff eats at his progress. So the issue is not that he lacks discipline. The problem is that his discipline is being forced to carry an environment that keeps repricing his survival every month. But discipline on the wrong battlefield is still a slow bleed. So let's break down some of these unavoidable American costs. Rent might hit you first, and then the car payment, then insurance, then gas, then groceries, then utilities, then healthcare fears. Maybe you got some credit card minimums you gotta hit, then student loans. And by the time your budget is done, the debt principal that you might have gets the meager leftovers. And let me paint the car trap picture for you, because you probably know it very well. In many American cities, the car is not a luxury. It's a survival tool. You need your car to get to the job. You need a job to pay for the car. Then insurance, repairs, tires, registration, parking, and gas, it all becomes part of the prison. And let's not forget about the grocery and food pressure. A normal grocery run just feels disrespectful. Eating healthy is expensive, and eating out is even worse. A disciplined man can feel like every basic adult decision costs more than it should. And here's the psychological pain. You might follow the spreadsheet. You track expenses. You say no to things. You try to be responsible. But the reward isn't freedom. The reward is barely staying above water with a slightly better budget. So the American system does not need you broke. It just needs your cost of staying alive to absorb your escape money. Now let me show you the overseas contrast. So for example, in parts of Asia, the same man can live in a clean, modern apartment, eat real food, train, walk outside, work online, or teach in person, and still spend far less than basic survival costs in America. And let's break down the rent too. Instead of bleeding thousands into rent, you can find a solid apartment or a condo setup for a fraction of the American number. And it might have a pool, gym, security, clean space, and a real base of operations. And breaking down the food, local meals can feel affordable, fresh, and convenient. What can you have? We can have rice, meat, eggs, vegetables, soups, fruit, smoothies, coconut water, coffee. A man can eat well without turning food into a luxury expense. And the transportation costs of daily life, there's typically no mandatory car note in a lot of places. Local transport like walking, local motorbike transport, motorbike taxis, trains, all these things can replace the American car cost stack. And that alone can change the math. And the debt snowball rolls a lot faster when rent stops punching you in the face. The same repayment strategy gets stronger when the largest monthly emergencies drop. So the goal is not to suffer beautifully. The goal is to create a monthly structure where your numbers finally obey. So let's make this practical for a second. If you're tired of spreadsheets, budgeting apps, cutting every small pleasure, and still watching American expenses eat your progress, you need your actual numbers looked at. And that's why I offer a free 15-minute Get Overseas strategy call. We can look at your income, your debt, your savings, the selection of countries that you're interested in, and run the actual math of your situation. So if that sounds like something that would benefit you, click the link in the pinned comment or description of this video. We can use WhatsApp, Instagram, or Facebook for the call. So click the link and pick your time, and let's talk about it. And here's the flip. When your overhead cost drops, your income becomes stronger. You don't need to magically become rich. You just need your monthly cost to stop swallowing your entire paycheck before you can even attack your debt. And if rent drops, transport drops, food drops, daily life gets cheaper, the difference becomes money that you can actually use. That money can go towards credit cards, student loans, emergency savings, travel, training, or building a business. In America, you might be budgeting from panic. Overseas, you can budget from space. You're no longer making every financial decision with a clenched jaw and a fear that one bill will wreck your entire math for the month. And paying off smaller balances can build that first momentum. But momentum needs extra cash. If the environment keeps stealing your extra cash, then the snowball stays small. And you may actually live better overseas while paying off debt faster. Better food, more movement, more sunlight, more social life, less stress. The debt plan no longer has to look like a punishment prison cell. It's oxygen for your life. And this is how geographic arbitrage works. It means moving your income, skills, and financial obligations into a country where your cost of living drops and your dollars hit harder. And to do that, you need your first overseas income vehicle. And that's why I suggest English teaching. English teaching online or in person doesn't need to make you a millionaire. It just needs to clear the overseas baseline, stabilize the floor, and give you room to attack debt from a stronger position. And if a man can make enough money from teaching to cover rent, food, transport, gym, phone, and basic life overseas, then any extra income can become debt attack money, savings, or business building fuel. And let me explain why this is disciplined and not reckless. This isn't an ignore your debt and then run over to Southeast Asia plan. This is stop paying the highest possible cost of survival while trying to become debt free. Maybe you already know how to work, you already know how to follow a plan. Maybe you don't need less discipline. You just need a setup where your discipline produces visible results. And the fastest budget cut may not be cheaper coffee. It may be a different country. So the question isn't if budgeting works. The question is where your budget is forced to operate. And that's why English teaching is so amazing. It gives you cash flow, structure, a practical way to get and stay overseas without waiting for the perfect tech job or building a giant savings account. So the progression is, first you get the English teaching income, then you lower your cost of living. Third, you get some surplus going. Fourth, you attack your debt. Fifth, you maybe stack some skills that can allow you to build different income streams. And then you get another income stream going. But the first move is not building the entire empire. It's about building that one bridge, that stepping stone that gets you overseas making consistent income. So yeah, make sure you sign up for my free 15-minute Get Overseas strategy call. We can map this out for you and we can make your path overseas the most efficient path it can be. And the thing to keep in mind is that everybody's situation is different, right? So a man who has $8,000 of credit card debt might need a different route than a man who has $60,000 in student loans. A man with a degree has different options than a man who doesn't have a degree. We got to match the math to the man. And by the way, if you're interested in more overseas thoughts like this, I have a free 3-Minute Madness newsletter. You sign up, you'll get a weekly email sent to your inbox. It's really fast and efficient to read. It can be read in 3 minutes or less. It's filled with overseas ideas, lifestyle, strategies, information to help you build your perfect overseas life. So yeah, click the link in the pinned comment in the description of this video and sign up for the free 3-Minute Madness newsletter. So yeah, I say that Dave Ramsey is right about discipline, but he forgot geography. So get the numbers, build the bridge, and move your life to a place where your discipline finally has room to win. And I'll see you in the next video.